Can you borrow money to start snail farming? The answer is yes and no. Why it is no is that if you start snail farming, if you borrow money to start snail farming as a snail beginner, as a less privileged, if you are someone that didn't have capital, that you don't have money, and you don't have any other business that can cater for this loan, so if you borrow, the problem you will face. Because if you start snail farming, let's assume you stock point of lay. Your point of lay will started production. So when your point of lay started production, and when your point of lay started production, the first thing in snail farming is expansion. So when your snail started production, so that means you need to be expanding your farm. So it also involves another money also. So when you started production, so it's not possible to start selling your newly hatched snail. It's not possible for you because if you started selling point of lay, truly we have some people that buy eggs, point of lay, newly hatched, juvenile, etc. But as a snail beginner that you started snail farming, nobody know you. Nobody know you because marketing is about networking. So nobody know you to contact you that they want to buy egg, they want to buy newly hatched snail. So you have to started marketing from scratch. So when you started production, so the first thing is to start expanding. That will also involve spending money. So how could you sell those snail and repay the loan? And repay the loan? It's not possible, except if you have mentor. Even if you have mentor also, it's not that easy. Because when you decided to start selling what your snail started producing, it means you're also coming back to a zero. Maybe let's assume that your snail has produced 200 or 400 baby snail. So if you desire to sell that 400, that means you have come back to a zero again. Or is it your point of view that you want to sell? So you will come back to zero again. And then you will start snail farming as a snail beginner. To succeed, you will face a lot of challenges. So if you are facing challenges, you will be depressed to quit. So if someone that borrow you money or bank that borrow you money, and they're also disturbing you also to repay the loan, and you're also facing challenge rearing this snail, so eventually you will quit along the road. So that is why it's not advisable snail farming for a less privileged people, to start snail farming. Someone that didn't have other means to repay the loan to borrow money to start snail farming. But for someone that have capital, a rich person who have other businesses to cater for the loan, like all those investors that they have other businesses, they have this money, they can borrow money to start snail farming because they won't use that money to repay the loan. They will be using the money they are getting from other business to repay the loan. So they will just focus on that snail farming. Maybe it is after maybe they decide that it is after 4 years or after 5 years or after 3 years that they will started selling snail. So they will first focus on expansion. They will focus expansion. So any snail they produce within a year, 2 years, 3 years, up to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, when they started selling those snail, they will make a lot of money. Because snail farming is also capital intensive. You have to spend a lot. You have to spend a lot to produce and to rear a lot of snail. So to borrow money to start snail farming is not advisable for someone that didn't have other means to cater for that loan. But for someone that have means to pay the loan, it's advisable to borrow money. But for a snail beginner, I will advise you to start on your capacity. If you have money to start with tire, start with tire. If you have money to start with a single snail hutch, start with a single snail hutch. Start based on your capacity. So these are the likely questions that. So welcome to Albarika Snail Farm. You are chatting in the culture with the snail professor. Thank you for watching.